We are live now.
Hello everyone. Today we are joined by Keerthi. I'd like to start with extending my congratulations to Keerthi for securing an All India rank 18. So our heartfelt congratulations to Keerthi first of all. It must
Sorry,
be.
you're not audible. I couldn't hear you that well.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to start with congratulating you, Keerthi, for achieving that exceptional feat and rank. Keerthi has
Thank you.
been associated with us about a year and has secured an All India rank 18. Firstly, we'd like to start with knowing a little bit about you, Keerthi. What's your educational background and what you were doing before law? And what's the reason to make the switch towards law? And then we'll have a little bit of your discussion on your preparation and your strategies. So, handing it over to you.
Okay. Yes. So currently, I'm in my final year of BA in philosophy. I've been associated with University of London, the International Students Program. It is a distance learning program where you just get the study materials and you don't have a lot of interaction with the staff or learning lectures as such, but you get to decide on how much time you're able to offer to your course and uh, make your schedules based on that. So I chose the program because of that, because I had a few constraints personally where I needed to learn on my time. So it was a little helpful in that way. And yeah, humanities gave me the theoretical foundation, and little bit when the first time I got to know about the NLS, the 3-year LLB program, was the second year of my program, I believe, second year of BA, and I immediately knew that this is what I wanted to do after my BA because it felt like the more like I would be able to put into a practical application of what I learned theoretically in philosophy with law. I've learned how to use logic in language and argue and put across my points better in philosophy. And I thought if I actually want to create some social change, I can use what I learned in philosophy in law better. And NLS seemed like the perfect place to apply to. And their whole approach to learning everything is very appealing. So, felt perfect.
I think some of your learnings in philosophy might be useful in NLS, certainly, some of the subjects. So, now moving a
Right.
little bit into your preparation part for this exam, let's start with at what point did you decide to start preparing for this exam? And what, in your mind, would be an ideal time that one would take to prepare for this exam? So, as per you, what would be a good time to start preparing for this exam?
Right. All right. So I feel like it's very important to surround yourself with your future goals. So I knew about the program like for about 2 years now, because as soon as they put out that this program is going to happen, I already knew about it. But as far as preparation go, I believe from about a year itself, I started surrounding myself with the full of like things related to NLSAT preparation, whether it is YouTube channels regarding GK, just following all of them, all Telegram channels which give you regular updates on news and all of that, and as many I started looking for courses as many are available, because since NLSAT is a relatively new um, exam, there weren't a lot of academies that were providing prep courses. I think NLTI was one of the first few that came up, and I think there are a few other academies that are still figuring out a few courses. Um, so yeah, I think a year prior itself, I started looking for what might be the best course of action for me. And even though I couldn't actively prepare, I tried to surround myself with reminders that this is what I need to go to, and like this is if I at least like passive reminders of passive things. Like just switch on all notifications for your news apps so that you keep remembering that these things are happening and you need to look into them, and any headlines that you see you need to go read more, just click on it and keep reading and keep being aware of things basically. Yeah, so I think the past few months of active preparation might be enough, but just passively reminding yourself for a long time that there is something that you need to be working on would be a good idea. At least that works for me. So I would encourage that.
So you mentioned that you were surrounded by a lot of resources that helped you get daily reminders of what you need to work towards. So if you could be a little more specific on what those resources were that you subscribed to, and in what way did those sources help you for your preparation? Were those related to general knowledge, current affairs, and to what extent did they help you?
Right. GK has been a little bit of my weakness. So I was very anxious about that part of the examination. English comprehension has been a strength of mine from a young age because I used to read a lot. So I wasn't worried about that. But from the beginning, I wanted to really strengthen my general awareness, which is why I wanted to surround myself with as much resources as possible. I think. A lot of the sources that you guys spoke about in your videos as well helped me. I think one of your mentors had mentioned Vision IAS. I think their PDFs helped me a lot as well. And I followed a lot of YouTube channels which come up with the weekly revisions or monthly revisions of uh, like news basically. Because I was working on my final dissertation in my final year, and I had a full time job which I worked for 9 hours a day for 6 days a week. So I couldn't study a newspaper every day in the morning as much as I wanted to. So what helped me is listening also helped me retain a lot of information. So I was trying to at least watch a few a few videos per week or every other week, so even if I missed this week's revision, I would try to watch at least 2 3 videos from different channels. So one thing I would suggest is not stick to only one resource, because they might fail to cover a lot of topics. You cannot really rely on uh, one channel or something like that, because if they miss something, it's possible that another channel might have covered that. So if you're more of a person who retains information from listening, there are a lot of resources on YouTube, which provide a lot of revision of whether it is Hindu newspaper or just regular um, these UPSC channels that help you in preparation. Even if you don't want to go that into, they are a little bit of more, I believe, in depth of general awareness. Even if you just want to stay on top of it on the surface level, and you can anyway read as more the more you want to, you can always go and subscribe to more news apps or anything like that. But as far as it goes, just try to use the free resources as much as you can. Stay, you know, aware of all that. I would recommend.
So that was quite a well-rounded approach to preparing GK for you. So, how much of that helped you in the actual exam? What would be your observations when you sat for the actual exam, and how much did you feel that your takeaways from your GK preparation helped you in the exam? And if not, then which other areas would you like to cover in hindsight right now?
Right. Actually, party didn't go as well as I expected in my exam. For personally, I did not feel it went that well for me. Um, Thing is, I didn't feel like I uh, especially the GK answer questions, wasn't as I felt like they threw a little bit of a curveball where a little bit of static GK was given more importance. Personally, that is what I felt. I had prepped more for GK as in general awareness as what was going on presently, like currently what was going on. I had prepped more in that scenario, but felt like a lot of the questions that they asked was little bit of awareness that uh, regarding like civic awareness that of the static government. There was a question regarding vice chairman of GST council or something of that sort, and a lot of other questions that didn't seem like I was well prepared enough for. But what really helped me was I had done well in English comprehension and legal aptitude, and the general awareness question that I wasn't prepared for, I used the elimination method, which answers didn't really seem like might be the best answer for that question. I just eliminated them and I came up with a question might an answer which might suit the question, and I think that helped a bit, and that worked well for me. And yeah,
So,
wasn't the best
did
in
you
general awareness.
did you at any point feel sort of a panic in the exam due to any factor? Maybe because you expected a lot of current affairs, but static GK came, or that your time you were running a little ahead of time or before time. So, was there any panic moment in your exam that kicked in? And if it did, then how did you deal with it? Because some people face that issue.
Definitely, yes. There was a lot of panicky moments for me. I'm a very anxious person, and especially during exams, I do not deal with it really well. But throughout the years, and this was um, uh, my first written examination after about 4 or 5 years, because all of my exams in my distance learning courses have been online timed assessment. So I was very nervous, and I was already very panicky about a lot of things. And the first question that I got in part A, I did the part A first, was a very technical passage. And I'm a more of a person who I can read faster if it's a story based passage or something of that sort. So I was already not at a good start because it's a technical passage, and I tend to need more time to retain the information when it is very technical. I think it's the same for a lot of people. So I was already panicking because it wasn't, and the first question of that passage also was not something that I was very confident to be able to answer. So I was already panicking, but I tried to breathe through it and just answer as best as I could. I just kept going. One thing I would suggest is do not stop at any point to take more time than you require, because it's a very like a lot of time constraint is there in this examination, where you need to really use your time wisely. Uh, it I wanted to allot. I think since it was a 150 minutes exam, isn't it? Yes. So I wanted to allot about uh, I believe 8 minutes per passage, 8 or 9 minutes per passage for the part A. I think I'd already exceeded about five more minutes than I hoped to. And part B first question already took me like 10 minutes, and I started getting very anxious as to how I would finish the rest of the paper. But I knew what I wanted to write. Like I was excited for the part B because uh, uh, I think that was where I could showcase what I actually like. Uh, could comprehend and tell you like what I can understand, what I can tell, and stuff like that. So the rest of the paper, I'm a person who likes to write neatly and underline points and stuff like that, but I couldn't write it very neatly for the rest of the part B. But I made sure I uh, I could put across the points that I wanted to do as fast as I could. My handwriting wasn't the best. I have scribbled very uh, okay, not too happy sadly, but enough to finish my answers quickly, but it's a bit legible. So basically, what I'm trying to say is just finish the questions, put across your points as much as you as much as you have want to tell, so that the examiners know that you understood the questions and you can answer it. It's okay if you cannot write it neatly, just underline some like important points that you want to highlight. And I couldn't get time to come back and what is that, reread my answers, because I usually like to do that in exams. But I was glad that I could finish all my answers. I could answer all of them. So I was fine.
So that's a very simple but a very effective advice from you, Keerthi, that even being able to keep your nerves calm and managing to finish the paper can help you a lot. So you said you were excited about attempting Part B, so let's discuss Part B a little bit here. What were your reflections about Part B questions this year? How did you feel the questions were framed, and what was generally the difficulty level of those questions? And what was your mindset while approaching those questions? How were you able to manage your time while attempting the Part B questions? And what was your writing strategy for those Part B questions? What all points you wanted to convey in your answers that you felt were very important for you to convey?
Right. So I was nervous about Part B while I was preparing. So since it's a subjective like based essay type question, I wanted to be able to put across points as well as I could. Since I've had uh, quite a bit of prep, if you think about it, in my previous degree, I wanted to be able to show that I could comprehend and reason well enough to structure my short essays, enough to show the examiner that I can do well in law school if I pass this. So my main focus was to practice uh, many as many prompts, short essay prompts as possible. And I think your practice papers did help me a lot, because feedback was very important. And I think some of my essay structuring needed a little bit of sharpening, and those reminders were very helpful with the feedback. So what has happened is, usually I blank out during my exams, and the only thing I can rely on is my previous practice. So I go on full autopilot mode when I'm in an examination. So all that I can rely on is how much I've practiced and how much I have previously learned. So, what helped me with my paper on the day is that I had practiced previously and I was confident enough that I have retained some information as I've kept reading, and I had made a few points as I was reading the questions itself in my mind, that these are the things that I need to mention, and these are the things I need to highlight and put across. So as when the time came to write, even though I couldn't put across maybe all the points, I made sure I could pick out the points that needed to be highlighted because of my practice. And even though I was blanking out and I wasn't totally present, the practice has had helped me to put across at least some of the points that I needed to, I think. And it was a little difficult, I believe, than I expected. But I think I did well in the technical based passages as well, because most of the times when it comes to, I think, arguing on a certain side when a certain amount of information is given, is to like be able to know what you need to focus on, and pick on that and argue and mention those points itself. And throughout your practice you tend to learn what you need to focus on, and I think that helps you. And you're able to do better in your paper when you learn how to do that.
So you rightly spoke about how much has practice helped you. During your preparation, roughly how many mocks did you attempt? And as a suggestion to somebody who's looking to prepare for this exam, what would your advice be to them in terms of practicing mocks, practicing sample questions that they should do, and how important it is for you to prepare for this exam, to go through that practice on a daily or on a weekly basis?
I think it is very important to solve mocks, even if you have fallen behind on your regular.
Uh, I think Keerthi might have dropped out due to a slight network issue, so we'll wait for a few seconds for them to join back.
Hi, sorry, I think there was an issue with the stream. Am I audible?
Hemant, I can't hear you. Like Keerthi is audible, but you are not audible. No, you're not audible. Uh, Say something again, Hemant. I'm really sorry, Keerthi, for the
Oh, that's
inconvenience.
all right. That's
I think.
totally all right.
So the thing is, there are like incessant rains happening today in Bangalore. That is why we are facing this internet connectivity issue on campus.
Right, right. That's all
Yeah.
right.
Can I be heard now?
Yeah, you're audible.
All right. Cool. Sorry for the slight interruption. So, I believe we were discussing about the importance of having some practice before heading into this exam. So, Keerthi, you can pick up from wherever you left.
Uh, Sorry, could you repeat that?
We were discussing how important or what your suggestion or advice would be to someone who is looking for practicing for this exam, and how important would it for them to have a sufficient amount of mocks to practice, and how much does it help you to prepare for actual exam.
Right. Sufficient practice of mocks is definitely advised, because time management is a huge issue when it comes to this examination. You need to focus on how you are going to manage time when the exam day approaches, because it becomes a very panicky situation if you tend to take a longer time than expected or something. So it is necessary to practice a lot, because since now that we have enough material of 3 years of 3 examinations or so, so uh, there is a certain pattern that we can rely on, or we can um, predict that might come. So we have a structure to form a mock paper, and it's best and it's suggested to practice as many mocks as you can and get as much feedback as you can before the exam day approaches, because time management is an issue and part B requires a lot of practice. So I would definitely suggest mock paper as a practice. Yeah.
So, Kirti, finally, just to wrap up this brief conversation, since you were enrolled with us in our mentorship program, could you provide some reflections on how much you found it to be helpful, and if in any way you felt that some sort of mentorship for this exam would be necessary? Any of your observations and reflections on our mentorship program, and how much that aided you in your preparation for NLSAT?
Right. One of the things that I would like to highlight with the NLTI program is that it started earlier in the year, so there was ample amount of time and resources that you would require for the exam. And since you prepare a little bit earlier itself, you tend to be more confident that you have given enough time for the examination. And the GK Gazette of NLTI also helped me with revision. So I fell back on my GK preparation quite a bit. So I needed a lot of compendiums to go back and revise on, and NLTI Gazette was one of them, and it highlighted the necessary news articles that I needed to focus on. And the feedback of part B was one of the main things that really helped me. And the comprehension of the mentors were very commendable, because every feedback that I've received was very to the point and very helpful. Because things that I had missed while I was practicing and writing were reminded when I got the feedback, and helped me structure my essays a lot better and focus on the points that I needed to, because part B mainly requires um, focusing on things that in the question there's a lot of information in a passage, and it's easy to get confused and lose your flow while you start writing. But yeah, it's like the mentors bring your attention back to the things that need focus on better, and to structure your essay better. And it's, yeah, that way the program has really benefited me.
Happy to hear that there are some positive reviews from you. With that, I think we can conclude this session. Thank you for engaging in this short, brief, and insightful conversation with us, Keerthi. We'd like to congratulate you once again, and we hope to see you
Thank
on
you.
campus and hope you have a great time in NLS studying law. With that,
Yeah.
we'll conclude this session. Thank you once again, Keerthi, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.